He is 18 months old. I am 25 and I just love sharing all things motherhood. I want to help you enjoy motherhood and doing so by telling you what's working for me and also just being real and helping you implement systems that have helped me enjoy motherhood a little bit more by making my day easier. So that's me. I remember thinking before I started breastfeeding, like just being totally baffled, like, how do people do this? How am I going to do this? Like, is this going to be weird? Like, I had so many questions and like so many preconceived notions of breastfeeding. So, if you are in that place, then I'm going to help you out. And if you're currently breastfeeding and you're like, how did she make it that far? I'm going to share with you my ups and downs. And hopefully, if you want to keep going, this video gives you the motivation to keep going. So for me, I wanted to breastfeed, obviously, from like the moment I found out I was pregnant, maybe even before then. Yeah, breastfeeding was always like a no-brainer. I always have learned like everything in science shows that like it's best for mom and for baby. So to me, it was like, that's what I want. That's what best for us. I'm going to do it no matter what. And it also probably helps that like every woman around me that's have children, they've breastfeed if they were able to. And I feel like in my community, it's pretty common. There's a lot of young moms because we live in a college town and a lot of them are breastfeeding. A lot of them aren't, but I just feel like for me, it was a no brainer. And culturally around me, it was just an easier choice. I will say my expectations of breastfeeding, especially, let me put a caveat here. In the first 3 months, it was nothing like I expected to be. But now, after 18 months, it's more like how I envisioned it before I started, if that makes sense. Like, I'm on like walking on clouds now, where in those first 3 months, I was like in the trenches. So, definitely a disconnect between expectations and reality, but eventually it turned into and exceeded my expectations or like my preconceived notions about it. So that's always good, right? So let's just start with the hardest parts of breastfeeding. If you're wondering, like, should I breastfeed or how am I keep going? Let me just tell you, it is not easy, but it is totally worth it. So the hardest parts for me was when he was first born. He My son like wasn't born knowing how to suck. Like he didn't have that suck reflex. So you have to suck to breastfeed if you are the baby. So that in itself was very difficult. Our nurses and our lactation consultant in the hospital were super helpful and they helped him kind of start figuring that out. But for the first, I would say, month of breastfeeding, it was honestly awful. I cried every time I nursed him, and my nipples were just like so painful. Like I was in so much pain. I was crying. He wasn't getting all the food he needed, and it was just really upsetting. But I think the thing that helped me get through that hard part was I knew this is what was best for him and for me. It was really hard, but I kept going because I wanted that for my baby and I wanted it for myself. I wanted to breastfeed him and I knew I could do it. And so just know when you're going into it, that first little while is going to be hard. I thought that it was just like a maternal instinct. Like I would just know how to breastfeed and like you would just like it would just happen. It would be perfect. No, not how it goes at all. I had to learn and my baby had to learn. And I will say, lactation consultants are literally angels on earth. Okay. If you really want to breastfeed and you're having a hard time, do not give up. Do not stop. Call a lactation consultant. Okay. I know some like health insurances will cover it. They have some in the hospital. And if you're on WIC, which I was, which is the Women, Infants, Children government program, which anybody under like a certain income threshold can be a part of, they sent one to my house for free, a lactation consult, and she helped me. And she made my life so much easier, so much less painful. And so just know that there's help if you are having a hard time breastfeeding or if you're worried about that. You do not have to suffer and it's not going to be hard forever. Okay. Another hard thing past those first couple months is because it's always up to me to feed him. Like, you don't really get breaks. When they're first born, you have to feed them, I think it's like every 2 hours. I can't really remember, but I think it's every 2 hours. And it gets less frequent as they go. But for like the first year, 9 months to a year, I was literally nursing him every hour to 3 hours. Okay. And my husband like couldn't do it. Like, he started to support me, but sometimes you're just like, my gosh, I don't want anybody sucking on my nipple right now. Right. That's a reasonable request. Okay. When he's sick or upset, he wants to nurse more, which that's up to me. When I'm tired and someone has to get up to nurse him, that's me. So just know that when you decide to breastfeed, that like it's up to you. No one else can do it for you. You and that baby are going to be spending a lot of time together, which is definitely not a negative thing, but it can be hard. It can be draining. You can feel touched out. So just prepare yourself for that, and just know that, every once in a while you can pump if you want. Your husband can massage your feet. Watch your favorite show while you're doing it. There are ways to overcome the hard parts of breastfeeding, but I just think you should be prepared and know that like that's what it's like. And when they get older, like my 18-month-old, he is literally like he'll be nursing and like his body will be over here and then he'll be like over here and then his feet will be in my face. Like, it's totally crazy. But I love it, and sometimes I'm like, "Okay, you're done. Like, I'm done with this. I need a break." And my husband will take him and play with him or try to soothe him. So that is one of the hardest parts. Yeah. I do feel like no matter how many books or things I read about breastfeeding, that's something no one really prepares you for. That, like, it's always up to you. And I wish someone would have told me. That wouldn't have changed my choice to breastfeed or even breastfeed this long, because obviously I figured it out eventually. But it would be nice to know in advance, I think, so that you can put things in place. Okay, I'm going to be overstimulated sometimes. What are some things I can do? Then you can have a conversation with your partner, your husband. Okay, these are some things you can do to help me when I feel this way. I talked about this like with each problem, what kept me going, but I will say what's kept me going for literally 18 months. And just so you know, I'm planning on breastfeeding up till the age of 2, but the recommended age by the CDC is 2 years old to get like the max amount of benefits. So, like, that's my aim. I do think that that's because when I do feel overstimulated, when I feel touched out, I solve that problem immediately. I take a little break and then I resume. And for me, I feel like nursing, I like breastfeeding, and I like it because I get to be close to my baby. I get to help him calm down. It helps him feel loved. And there's also like a huge amount of a dopamine rush when you breastfeed. So I'm sure that's a part of it. But I do enjoy it. It's relaxing for me when I'm overstimulated in other ways, like him playing, too much noise, whatever it is. Nursing is just a way for everybody to calm down, relax, get a little snack, and chill out. So I think helping yourself in the moment helps you keep going as long as you want. I will say I'm not against bottles or like formula or anything. Well, okay. I'm a little bit against it, mostly because if a mother has opportunity and the ability to nurse their child, it's what's best for mom and for baby. So I think that you should do that. If you can't or you have a different opinion, that's okay, but that's what science says, and that's what I feel. Hence, I've been breastfeeding for like 18 months, and I have seen a total amazing health benefits and emotional, mental on both side of me and my baby. But I will say that giving a bottle and making formula might feel easier for some people. So sometimes it comes down to you have to choose the hard. Now that we've talked about all the hard things, let's talk about the most rewarding things, okay? I will totally say some people like argue that breastfeeding is inconvenient. Girl, how? At any moment, my son could be upset. He could have gotten scared. He could have gotten hurt. He could just be fussy. He could be sick. It doesn't matter. We could be in the car. We could be on the moon. We could be in the kitchen. It literally doesn't matter. I just whip this thing out, put it in his mouth, and he is happy as a clam. Okay. I love that part about it, that I have the ultimate tools to help my son feel better and to comfort him at any moment, at any time. And that has been the most rewarding thing to me, is that when I'm like, I don't know what to do for him, I can nurse him. And he immediately calms down when he nurses. He feels better. It's totally a thing of comfort, and that's totally normal for all children. And honestly, I love being able to give that gift to him. And my husband has told me he feels kind of left out, that there's nothing like that for him that he can do to immediately soothe him like I can with nursing. So that has definitely been the most rewarding part for me. Another thing is, I do feel like more confident as a mom, like being able to soothe him at any moment. Like, it helps me understand his needs a little bit better. And I'm not saying you can't do that unless you breastfeed, but I am saying that I do feel more in tune with my child because I nurse. And there is literally a hormonal connection between me and my son because of the breast milk, and hormones are released when we breastfeed on my side and his side, both to help us bond and to like, they're rewarding chemicals and hormones, so that we want to keep doing it, and that's how our body's designed. So I do know, and I feel a greater connection with my son because I do nurse, and I know he feels that with me because that boy can be clingy and only want his mama. And that sometimes is hard, but it's also just a beautiful thing that we're able to bond like that. And before I started breastfeeding, I read the most amazing book, and it is kind of outdated, but I loved it. It was, yes, Ina May's like Guide to Breastfeeding or something. I'll link that in the description if you're interested in reading that. But that book talked about how like moms and children can bond, and how that bond can like perpetuate into the rest of their lives. And I was like, I really want that. And I totally have that. I feel that, and that is something I wanted when I made the choice to breastfeed, was that deeper connection with my child. And I have it, and I'm so grateful for that. There have obviously been hard things, rewarding things. Now let's talk about kind of a different thing. This has been a hard thing, sometimes a good thing, but mostly hard thing, is what other people think of me breastfeeding. Okay, like when he was little, when he was a little baby, like I told you, like my family, my community, like that's normal. Breastfeeding is like a thing that most people do. But once they get past like the age of 1, people have opinions, okay? And honestly, it baffles me the things people will say to me. Literally, people have been like, so when you gonna get them off the tit? I'm like, okay, most of them, ironically, have either come from my mother or men. Okay, like, what? Like, dear men, I don't care what you think about how long and how I breastfeed my child. Okay, that's what I feel. Literally, people have been like, so when are you gonna stop nursing him? Really? You're gonna nurse him for that long? Like, being appalled that I would want to nurse my child for more than 9 months or 1 year. I'm like, no flack to moms who children wean themselves or wean their babies before 18 months or even 2 years. It doesn't matter. But just like, keep your mouth shut about other people's choices, okay? Like, dear everybody, just keep your mouth shut about other people's choices and how they parent their children, okay? And especially something as like personal as breastfeeding, like, bro, they're my boobs. I can do whatever the frick I want with them. If my child wants to nurse, I'm gonna let him, okay? So yeah, people have said things like that to me, or like when I first started breastfeeding, I felt a little bit uncomfortable doing it around other people, but I could tell other people felt uncomfortable. And honestly, out of spite, I was like, okay, I'm gonna not feel uncomfortable anymore because you feel uncomfortable, and this is what I want to do with my body, and this is for my baby, so freak you, and I don't care anymore. So that kind of helped me overcome feeling uncomfortable, was other people feeling uncomfortable. I do wholeheartedly believe you should have no shame in breastfeeding. If you don't want to cover up, don't cover up, girl. Breastfeeding is totally natural, and it is not your fault that society has sexualized boobs when they are truly made for nursing children. Okay, that's my plug for that. So, yeah, that's what I think. I don't just whip it out usually in public, mostly because I'm like, I don't want people seeing my boobs. But, like, if you don't care, girl, you do it. And if you have opinions on that, get over it, because That is what these are made for. In other countries, women just whip them out, bro. You got a 5-year-old walking up getting some milk. There's no problem with that. It's just totally like a cultural, societal thing. And if that's not what you want, that's not what you have to do. So you nurse how long you want to nurse, and you breastfeed how long you want to breastfeed until they're 5 if you want. And you do what's best for you and your baby, because that's truly what it comes down to. And other people's opinions do not matter. So, yeah, people still like a little bit wary of me that I am still nursing him, and I don't have any plans to wean him until he's 2 or until he weans himself. It could be sooner than that, maybe a little bit later. I don't know. I don't have any solid plans because that's my choice and my baby's choice. So, screw what everyone thinks, and you do what's best for your boobs and your baby. That's that. So there are like so many products out there for your nipples and for breastfeeding and pumps and like a million things. So I just wanted to put some of the few things in this video that I absolutely loved and relied on. Okay, the first thing I still use to this day, I'm a ride or die of, I will use it for every child, is a boppy. Okay, it's like a nursing pillow. It goes around you like this. I will like put a little video in here of me using it or whatever, but I love my boppy. Okay, I love it. It's supportive for me and my child. Like, it makes breastfeeding easier, more comfortable. I love it. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I love my breastfeeding pillow. Literally, would die without it. Was so helpful in those first 3 months when like I had to hold him a certain way so he would latch and like do all of these things. Literally a lifesaver. I honestly was never too into like using a nipple cream. I did use one, like whatever the hospital gave me. Some people have like ride or die nipple creams. Like, I wasn't too into. I more was like on the hot and cold pads when my milk came in. I love those things. Also, all of these things are pretty budget friendly. You can grab them on Amazon, so I will link them below. But let me finish my spiel. Is those hot and cold packs for your boobs when my milk came in, I still remember that those were literally lifesavers. A Mandela hand pump, I think is what it was. The hospital gave it to me, so I got it for free. But I think they're like 20, 50. I can't remember how many dollars. I will correct that in the video. But to hand pump, because I was always with my baby, like I mentioned, so I never like really pumped. But like when I felt a clogged duct now, sometimes even, or and when I was nursing maybe for the first 6 months, I love that hand pump because I was able to do it quickly. I was like, I didn't have to set up a whole machine, so I did love that product. The second to last thing is reusable nursing pads. Like when you're leaking milk and things, I love the reusable ones because they, number one, were like more eco-friendly and they're cheaper. That's the main thing. So they get wet. Once you're done, you can replace them as many times as you want, and then you wash them, you dry them, repeat. And I'm going to use them, the same ones, for my next child, and they were not expensive at all, and I really like them. Okay, and the last thing, I'm going to link my nursing bras, because for me it was really hard to find not a nursing bra that worked, a nursing bra that fit. Okay, like the band needed to be smaller, but the cup needed to be absolutely ginormous. Okay, and I tried, like, I kid you not, like 7 nursing bras that anytime I bent down to pick my baby, my boob popping out because it like it just didn't fit right and it was uncomfortable, and then I was always having to like put my boobs back in my bra. I'm sure you know. Unless you're a part of the itty bitty titty committee, then just skip this part, okay? But your boobs do get so much bigger when they get milk, or like literally your boobs are just always changing sizes at this point, okay? And so I'm going to link my nursing bras. I found one that were actually so comfortable. They fit well. They were easy to nurse in, and I just love them. Okay. Every other nursing product I ever used didn't make that big of impact on me. I didn't use it consistently enough. Like, it wasn't worth my money. So those ones that I just mentioned were my ride or dies, and I will use them for every perpetual child I ever have because they really impacted my nursing experience. Like, seriously. So just know that a lot of things the influencers or just like companies push that you need for lactation or breastfeeding, you really don't need. Okay. All in all, those are my favorite things. and I will die on that hill. Let me answer the question I'm sure everybody is wanting to know. Would I do it again? Would I breastfeed for 18 months or breastfeed at all with my next children? Absolutely. And honestly, so I don't know when we're going to have our next baby. Maybe it will be soon. I don't know if my son will be done breastfeeding. But truthfully, I am fully prepared to breastfeed two children at once, a newborn and a toddler. I'm fully prepared because I love breastfeeding. I believe in its power. I don't even have to believe because it's scientifically proven that breastfeeding is literally awesome. But I would totally do it again. I would suffer every moment again, every hardship, every pain. I would do it again because I totally believe it's what's best for me, my baby, and the rewards are way outweigh enormously the bad things about breastfeeding, the hard things. So I would totally do it again. And any mom who is like on the fence about breastfeeding or keep going, do it. Honestly, just do it. There is support for you, there are people who can help you. It really becomes something that you enjoy and you love and you cherish. And I will definitely do it again. So I do know that there are like so many specific questions because I had them all myself about breastfeeding. So in my next video, I'm going to try to answer as many of those specific questions: schedules, feedings, how to, like, how do you even breastfeed? Like, what if your supply is low? Like mastitis, which is like a sickness you can get if you get a clogged duct. Like, so many questions. And in my next video, I'm going to answer all of them. We're going to do a breastfeeding FAQ. So if you do have any questions, drop them in the comments and I will make sure to answer them in my next video. Okay. Breastfeeding is so awesome. And all of the questions you have, I want to answer them for you the best that I can. If you are breastfeeding right now or in this stage, I'd love to know what has been the hardest part for you. Like, what are you really struggling with? Where can we support you? If you're pregnant or thinking about breastfeeding, what are you most nervous about? And please subscribe and turn on your post notifications if you're excited for that next breastfeeding FAQ, or if you just want real motherhood content where we're going to support each other making the hard decisions for a better life. Thanks for watching.